Welcome to Armchair Safari, the daily, I was going to say live stream, but it isn't a live stream anymore. I'm pre-recording these now because I'm trying that out. So the daily video where we try to become better designers by finding a cool design online and breaking it down. And today we're revisiting an old friend. So Rauno Freiberg, Rauno Freiberg, I'm not sure. Anyway, great designer, shares a lot of really cool stuff. Definitely recommend following him. This is some time ago now. In September, he shared this GUI tooltip. And if you followed this channel at all, oh my God, I love GUI stuff. GUI UIs are just, there's something about UIs that becomes so like deconnected from reality that they're just like super digital. They're all they're not skeuomorphic in any way. They don't represent real world materials in any way. That's just delightful when they're logically consistent, and these GUI things really are. So in this case, we're hovering a button, an anchored button, a corner button, and we get this GUI tooltip pop-up. So let's slow this down and check what it looks like when it's really, really slow. Let's go 50% and see what that's like. Oh man, that is so nice. Oh yeah, okay, so let's step through it slowly. And the way we do it in this channel is that we try to look for three categories of things that we can learn from. The first one is what is good about this design? What should we take away and use in our design? The second is what is not so good about this design? What should we try to avoid in our own design? And the third one is, does this work for the end user? The most important thing, because otherwise it's not design, it's just art. So let's have a look. Here's the thing, and then you hover, and it immediately comes up. So far, no GUI. And then here we go. Here's the GUI. This is interesting though, because it actually brings out, like, it pops up to a second circle before it starts expanding. That's an interesting choice. I would have assumed it would just expand out into something else first. I wonder why he did it that way. Then it expands out, and while it's expanding out, the content of the surface inside is slowly being pushed up and coming in from an opacity 0. And we can see here that the container is actually expanding out to cover the content. So the content is there, just clipped by this view, which is very interesting. Also super digital. It would never work in a skeuomorphic world. And boom, there it's all in place. So first, let's look at this and go, what is good about the basic layout of this? Well, the icon has a very distinctly good size to it. You know what size that is? It's this size. That is the icon. This is the perfect icon size currently because you want stuff that is possible to touch with your finger. According to the iOS spec, that is about 48 by 48 pixels. Now, pixels don't really make a hell of a lot of sense on all screens these days, but this is in a desktop app, so here it would make sense. This is probably not 50 pixels though. This is probably something like 40, but it's still close enough. The touch target on iOS is recommended to be 24 times 24, but the visual target that you want to hit is recommended to be 48 by 48. I think so, at least. This used to be a really big deal. I don't know if they changed that in the last like 3 versions. I don't think so. Let me know in the comments. So besides that, we have the distance between the trigger and the content is the same as the padding of the content, which is very nice. It makes it feel like these are sort of grouped together, almost like a thought bubble. Um, and the content inside it is really well made. There's a lot of padding to it to show distinctly what you're supposed to be looking at. Maybe actually the rows aren't that clear when there's just 3 of them, and the distance horizontally is so wide. So moving from the no, actually, let's stick with the good. Also, the difference between having like having the things that you're supposed to read highlighted not just by color, which is nice, but also by using a different font is a very nice touch. The sort of metadata in this view is in a monospaced font, which is a nice touch. So let's moving from the good now. That was the good. Those are the things that we should learn from to the bad. What are the things that we should try to avoid? So, like I said, the spacing here is a little bit off. We've talked a lot about the laws of pregnance, especially from like the Gestalt principles, especially the thing about having things grouped. So, if things should be visually grouped, we need them to be approximate or very, um, oh, how do I put this? Or very uniformly distributed. This is supposed to be three rows of things, and they're like in almost like a table layout. It's just that there's not enough content for that to be completely obvious. In this case, it kind of works. Oh, what just happened? Oh, I lost my camera for a second. So in this case, it kind of works. Like it's, you can sort of see it, but you could also be one of these people where you go, like you could not see it as well, depending on what the rest of the screen looks like. So it's not perfect, and it could be very much improved. How will we improve it? Well, we would group the rows into rows better. So we could add the classical things like we could have a line denoting the fact that these are rows. We could have more padding between the rows. We could have less padding between the columns. Or we could have something completely different, like a zebra pattern background, or um, we could have errors also be red, which would make it really extremely row looking. None of those are great. I would probably just like push the columns a little closer and maybe add like a couple of pixels between the rows, additional space, and I think that would be it. Like I said, this is very borderline. It's almost great. It's just not perfect. So that's the first thing. Second thing is if we squint at this, the three actually totally disappears. So the three for errors should probably be more distinct. I mean, this is not an example of typography. He is clearly showing a GUI effect, so I don't think he actually cares about that in his design. But we're here to learn, so that's what we can learn. And let's actually, now that I said that, let's actually look at the design for this GUI effect. Oh, that's interesting. So when it animates out, it animates up into a little ball and then it expands out and fills the content. But when it animates down, it actually doesn't go back to the ball shape. Even before it hits the ball shape, it animates into the circle. Very, very interesting. Wonder why he did this. Let's see it in speed again. Oh, sorry, this is still half speed. Let's go to 100 plus. There we go, 1x. Okay, okay. So the reason he's doing this is because the out animation is slower than the in animation. This is a really good trick. Animations should be used quickly because they're there to guide the eye as much as to make it beautiful. So this helps you read the screen and figure out what is happening now. So having an animation out um, like animation should always be quick, but if the out animation is slower than the in animation, or I guess I should say the entry animation should be longer than the exit animation, because when you're exiting, you already know where this came from. You just want it to disappear. So that's a really good thing. The speed of this is just absolutely awesome. This is probably the best example of using speed well I have seen so far, or at least that we've talked about so far. The GUI effect, which is beautiful here, is so quick and subtle that you feel it rather than see it, which is perfect. That's exactly how UIs should work. This is just giving you a sense of like, oh, that's nice, that's gooey, but you're not actually watching the pixels slowly move across the screen, which is great. And the gooey effect is way quicker than the content entry. So the content is actually giving you an additional hint that something is going on, which is a really, really nice touch. The triggering of the animation is also super subtly offset. So, or maybe they aren't offset. Maybe it's just the timings of them that make them look like they're offset. So the container is actually reaching its main size before the text. Let me show you. So here we go. Oh, where is it here? So boom, it hits, and then we get an additional. No, no, I'm wrong, aren't I? Okay, speed at 25%. Let's see it again. Yeah, I'm wrong. It's just that the animation has an ease out, so it's going very slow to the end, which made me think that the text is animating, finishing its animation after the box has finished animating. It isn't though. That would have been a good thing though. Like I still felt it working like that, so it's still a really good animation. But I think it could have been even better if the container animated a little quicker than the content. But yeah, we'll see. Okay, and most importantly, let's finish this up with, does this work for the end user? What do you think? Does this work for you? Personally, for me, I think GUI UIs are absolutely beautiful. They help you guide the eye incredibly. They give this really interesting, almost organic vibe to a UI, and they also give the user a very clear indication that this is not going to be skeuomorphic. This has its own internal rules, and I absolutely love that. So yeah, as always, super well done by Rano. Thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you for everyone else for watching this, and I hope you learned something. I definitely learned something. Armchair Safari tries to do this every day or every working day. So I will see you tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.